Hey everybody, it's Emily from ARG Schooling, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about my reflections upon reading The Lord of the Rings. So I have read these books. I've been reading The Lord of the Rings this month, and I've read these books so many times over the years, like literally probably dozens of times over the course of my life. But it's been about 8 years from my last reread, and I've seen the movies like a lot in between that because my kids love the movies, so I've probably watched the movies at this point more than I've read the books. And that's been bothering me. So I wanted to reread, and because I'm adding these to grade 9 this year, that was like my perfect excuse to do a reread. So today I'm going to talk about my reflections on reading The Fellowship of the Ring. So this book I read at the beginning of the month, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about my thoughts after rereading it. So I'm going to kind of compare it to the movie a lot because that's just what's most fresh in my mind. So the first thing that really jumped out at me was just how much time passes at the beginning of this book. In the movie it's very rushed. Like right after Bilbo's birthday party, Frodo finds the ring, Gandalf is like, "We have to hurry." And he comes back like the next day almost and tells them that they have to leave, and then they leave that minute, and it's just like super fast. In the book, it's almost 50 years from Bilbo's party to Frodo leaving the Shire. He doesn't leave for forever. It's so slow. Many, many years pass, and it's just like I forgot how long it took. And actually, I think that's part of the reason when I tried to read these as a preteen. I think I started trying to read these when I was 12, and I just couldn't get through the first book. And I think that's probably part of the reason, was just the slowness. Like I wanted this rollicking adventure that my mother had been telling me about for forever, and it just wasn't happening. But it does happen, I promise. So if you can get through the first couple of chapters, it really does get going. And another thing that I found kind of interesting about the books comparing to the movies was how much they leave out. And I don't understand. I mean, I understand. I like the movies for what they are. They're not bad movies. I mean, it's nothing like The Hobbit. The Hobbit was just a train wreck. The Lord of the Rings, I think, was a very good adaptation, but they do leave a lot out. For example, in the movies, Pippin and Merry are just sort of bystanders that get swept up into everything, and they don't really understand what's happening until they're like halfway through the journey. But in the book, they've kind of caught on to what's going on, and they're assisting Bilbo from the time he leaves the Shire. They are in the know. And so they're well aware of what's happening. And then there's the whole Tom Bombadil thing. I know my mother would freak out. She still is angry that Peter Jackson left out Tom Bombadil. But when I reread it, and I like his character, he's a good character, but I can totally understand why they left him out because he seems almost irrelevant to the story. Like he's there to help them sort of, but he doesn't really give them that much assistance outside of rescuing them from the Barrow Downs. But that could have happened in, any other being could have done that. I don't know. I just feel like Tom Bombadil, while interesting, is sort of irrelevant to the story as the whole. But I still enjoy his character. He's sort of this intriguing character that comes along and doesn't want power. He just wants to be in his wood, in the old forest, and, with Goldberry, the lovely elven woman that he is, I assume, married to. But it just doesn't make sense to put that in the film. And the same with the Barrow Downs. That's all just sort of side adventure. But interesting, but on the side. I don't know. Another thing that I just really was thinking about as I read the book was that Boromir in the books is sort of, I don't want to say he's a flat character, but he doesn't have a lot of emotions. He's sort of this tough guy who really wants to prove himself to Gondor. He wants to bring the ring back to Gondor. He wants to save his country. And he wants to take the ring from Frodo. But that is just about it. The movie Boromir, to me, was a person. Like, he had emotions. He cared about those hobbits. He wasn't doing it just as his duty. He was doing it because he cared about them. And, yeah, I think that made him so much more of a human character, as opposed to just this flat person who wants the power and is sort of a foil to Frodo within the Fellowship. I don't know. I just feel like the movie Boromir was flat. And you know what? I think that was because Sean Bean is awesome. I think that's probably part of it. I don't know how much of it was written as that and how much was just Sean Bean being Sean Bean. So I think that could be part of it. So yeah, Boromir, much better character in the movie, I think, as opposed to the book. And I know people are going to be like, what do you mean? No! Just my opinion, people. I think that worked better on screen. Because in the books, I just feel like he's sort of there to be a foil to Frodo. I don't know. That's just my take on it. I really appreciate in the book all the songs and poems. I think that they lend sort of an atmosphere. It makes it feel like the Middle-earth is a real place. And it makes it have this deep history, like all these songs and all these stories and all this stuff about the elves. I feel like it gave character to the landscape, which just like built all this history. And I love history. I like to read history. I like to like, I don't know, I just love the depth it brings to things. And I think that that was one of the best things for me about the books, is not only the poetry and the songs, but the Elvish. The fact that there's an entire language, and the orcs have their own language, and the dwarves have their own language. They all just have all these rich, like, back stories that make them so much bigger than just this book. Like, you can feel like this is, like, part of something bigger. Well, those are my thoughts and reflections upon rereading The Fellowship of the Ring. I'm going to do this as a series. I'm almost finished reading The Two Towers right now. I think I have like 3 chapters to go. I'm going to finish that today. And I'm hoping to tackle Return of the King within another week. So over the next couple of weeks, I'll be putting out a video for all of these. So those are my thoughts upon rereading. Have you reread the series lately, or have you read it? And if you haven't read it, I pick it up. You should. Especially if you enjoyed the movies. What are your thoughts on rereading this book? Have you noticed different things as you've read again? I don't know. I love rereading. I love to reread a book, especially a book that I've read and really loved, because when you read it again, like, little things jump out at you that you totally missed the first time through, that, you know, like, just make the whole story deeper and richer. I get so much out of rereading books. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye. Happy reading.